Thank you. Haya. Haya. ODM. ODM. Asanteni sana, you may be seated. Today you learned all protocols observed. Hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Yes, I've sat too long down here that I'm now a little bit confused. But I think it has been very exciting and also very illuminating to listen to other people talk. I want to thank particularly the two gentlemen you invited here. That is Polycarp Omolo Chilo and Dr. Oscar Otele from the University of Nairobi. I found their contribution very informative indeed, and with a lot of humor good touch. And I also want to thank everybody else who has contributed in this discussion today. It was a wonderful session. We thought that it is necessary for us, before you go back, to have a PG, because you have not had a PG where you also brought the party leadership to talk to you together. And we felt that we should do it before the end of the year, particularly before we go for the Jamboree in Mombasa. So I'm not going to bore you with a very long speech. There's a few things that I put together that I want to say. About a year ago, we got together with the UDA party to help steady the ship of the Kenyan nation that had been hit by extreme turbulence and faced the reality of collapse. Some people may not even know exactly where we were, but because I had a first inside impression of what was happening, we were very much almost on the precipice. Because as you see, after so many days of demonstrations, you saw that eventually the military were on the streets. And they were on the streets, of course, they were fairly civil to the wananchi at that time. But that was because they had not been given instructions. And you know, there is what you always all the time talk about, the chief of defense forces. Once the military are given instructions, they execute. And we are almost there. We're almost there. So he said it's better to have a country that is civil, where leadership can be replaced through the ballot rather than through the bullets. And that was one of the reasons why we did what we did at that time. The coming together started informally, with some of our members joining the government. We later formalized the arrangements through a memorandum of understanding, signed publicly with UDA and shared widely with the public. This far, a core agenda of our coming together has been achieved. We have a stable and peaceful country. We beat back the chaos and created an environment in which you can agree to disagree without staring at a collapse. I recognize and appreciate the role our MPs continue to play in the realization of this noble goal of preserving the nation. As I've said before, whatever the differences and misgivings we have as parties or leaders, we must have a country first. Only then can we set about discussing how to perfect the nation's imperfections and even who is to lead the nation. This is a core belief of our party. We stand for and with the country and act in the interest of the people of Kenya. I am convinced that Kenyans want Kenya to stand, and we stand with them on this. Ronald Reagan used to tell Americans, and I quote, "If we ever forget that we are one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under," unquote. As Kenyans, we know only too well what happened to nations that went under. Some took too long to come back, others never made it back at all. Kenya must never tempt that fate. As a party, we must never be ashamed to remind the people that we can never accept collapse as an alternative path to power. We must never be shy to remind the country that as a party, we have pursued compromise before and will pursue it whenever necessary in the interest of the nation. We had the option of taking it out to the bitter end in 2007-2008. All we needed was to insist that we would not engage in any talks with our opponents. But we saw the danger of Kenya collapsing, and we opted for compromise for the sake of Kenya. We steadied the ship when the gridlock threatened the Uhuru Kenyatta administration. In order to make the country move forward and pass some of the agenda that was seen to be pro-people between 2018 and 2022, ODM had lent a hand. We asked for no titles or positions in return. We insisted only on better policies and programs for the people of Kenya and reforms so that we would not witness the repeat of what had happened in 2017. History indicates that each time the leaders of this country have come together, some great things happen. We got the 2010 Constitution because we made compromises with the President Daniel Arap Moi and made him appreciate that it was in his interest, as well as the country's, to midwife a new constitution. We achieved more under the Grand Coalition government than under the NAC regime. The NAC regime swept to power in a wave of popularity, but quickly got hijacked by isolationists and quickly lost the plot to tribal demagogues. Over time, we have appreciated that it takes teamwork to get any edifice, a country included, back on the right track. Today, we are again seeing early fruits of cooperation between political parties. By blending what ODM has always believed in with what ODA believes in, we came up with their widely accepted 2025-2026 budget. Thanks to the ODM experts. We have also come up with programs to implement agreements like the NADCO report and the MOU that lay ground for the realization of our broader national ambitions. The ability to make compromises without compromising the core values and the goals is yielding fruits. We are not out of the woods yet, but we are in a better place today than at this time in 2024 or this time in 2023. Much work remains to be done in the pursuit of a stable, equitable, and prosperous country that delivers to the citizens. It will require firm and resolute leadership, regular consultations, more sobriety, and constant focus on the needs of the people. I mention sobriety because in times like this, it is possible for politicians to spend more time listening to the echoes of their own voices and the cheers from the masses, and forget that we are leaders and we are supposed to be leading. In times like these, it is possible to be lost in competing campaigns or populism and forget that leading means making decisions that may sometimes invite booing instead of cheers. I have been there. I've been cheered and have been booed. I was once set up against the people when I set about clearing the ground for the Thika superhighway and the bypasses around Nairobi. Today, everyone claims credit for Thika superhighway and the bypasses. My colleagues in Parliament once disowned me when, together with KANU, I championed the Constitution Review Commission that laid the groundwork for what became the 2010 Constitution, and which everyone claims credit for today. So my appeal to you as we embark on some of the legislative agenda coming up is that you should never feel powerless or feel like giving up because populists around you are seeking popularity at the expense of leadership. When they call you Baba and someone sets the homestead on fire, does Baba join the burning of the homestead just because it looks like exciting, or does Baba help to put out the fire? Does Baba release his sons and daughters to add fuel to the fire, or does Baba ask his children to fetch water? I know you know the answer. There's a time to lead and a time to acknowledge cheers. Popularity surges and wanes. Cheering masses come, change and go. But solid service to the nation, brought against all odds, stands the test of history. Today, I charge you to soldier on in this cause. It is good for our people. It is good for our country. If you act out of conviction, if you put the people at the heart of your maneuvers, if you ensure that our actions are in line with our ideals as a party and our aspirations as a country, the lack of history will be on our side. And I've said, as has been said by Dr. Oscar Otele there, he told you, stand for what is right for the party. And look at what we have signed. And we must remain as ODM. And we've signed and agreed that we'll work together up to 2027. We have not passed any resolution as a party to say how we are going to go into the election of 2027. So wherever you are, don't commit the party to some things which have not been discussed. Let those things be discussed first. We are ODM. Who's told you that ODM will not have a candidate in 2027? Who has told you? So first, think as ODM, we have a clear plan that we have negotiated and we've agreed on, and let us continue to implement that plan. Other decisions we'll take when the time comes. Finally, first, I want to thank Mbadi for bringing out some of the issues. Like he talked about selling some assets. Kenya Pipeline Corporation. The pipeline is underground from Mombasa through here. Even if you sell it, where is somebody taking it to? It remains very much an asset of Kia. It is just there on the ground. So somebody want to buy it, buy it. That is what Margaret Thatcher told Britons when the Arabs were coming with petrodollars to buy historical buildings in the UK. She said, even if they buy Buckingham Palace, where are they going to take it? It remains here. Your asset. It's an idle asset. Sell it so that you get money instead of going to borrow. Make money to invest instead of going to borrow here. I want to sell the shares of Safaricom. Why not? Why don't you sell the shares of Safaricom? It just remains here in the country. This is what my friend, the Indian Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, has done in India. When he invited me to go to Gujarat as chief minister then, I went as a chief guest in what is called a vibrant Gujarat. And there were many people who had been invited from outside India. And I was in a panel discussion with some of the Indian conglomerates, the Tata, Ratan Tata, the Adani groups, and all this together. And we saw how many deals were being signed, people coming to invest in Gujarat. State of Gujarat is one of the states of India. The economy of Gujarat was growing at the rate of 13% per annum, compared to 5-6% of other states. Gujarat, you know, the population of Gujarat is 60 million people, bigger than Kenya. So I asked Bodi, how did you manage to achieve this? He went into his bookshelf and brought me a piece of legislation. He said, this is the secret. This was a PPP law of Gujarat, which he said, make it simple like this. It will attract people to come and invest in your country. Armed with that legislation, I came here and I presented it to the cabinet. And I told him what I saw in Gujarat is something astonishing. We approved the memo in the cabinet. It was then given to then Minister for Finance, who was acting Mr. Michuki, to go and prepare a cabinet memo. When he took it to the mandarins in the treasury, they manipulated it, changed so many things. By the time they brought it back to the cabinet, it was a different document. I told them, who will come, who will want to risk his capital with this kind of things you put in this law? It was passed and brought to Parliament, passed, no investors came because there were so many restrictions and private capital is risk shy. But when I was there, they took me. They took us. I was in that delegation as a prime minister. I'd gone with the current prime cabinet minister, Mr. Mudavadi. We were with President Ruto at that time, with Chris Obore, who was a minister for public works. I was with a big delegation. We were taken to a place called Mundra, a port, where they had built. I mean, Modi had given just land to Adanis, 5,000 hectares of land, marshland near the sea. They drained that land and built a port. So they were using that port to import coal from Indonesia. And they put up a power plant, 4,600 megawatts of power. Then the Tata group followed suit and also built a similar plant, 4,600 megawatts there. So a total of 9,600 megawatts was being generated from that port alone. Our total generation capacity in this country today is not even 3,000. That's from that port. And then they built a railway line, 100 kilometers to join with the national railway system. A sleeping village of 5,000 people rose to become a town of 200,000, eventually now 500,000 people. And the investors came to invest in that place. They even built an airport in that place. Okay? Then I can give you so many other examples. So you find the same people, Adani, are given them Bombay. Bombay airport used to be so dilapidated, fly infested and so on. They could have constructed Bombay airport. Today Bombay airport is so efficient when you go there. You go and look at the Delhi airports. When Modi eventually became Prime Minister of India, he now replicated what he had done in Gujarat in the whole of India. Within the time that he has been the Prime Minister for 10 years, they have constructed 130,000 kilometers of railway line through PPP. They have, in almost every state in India has got 2 international airports in India. All this being done through PPPs. And that's why when Adani came here to want to do this airport, and too much noise was being made in Parliament for no reason at all, and they pulled out. The Red airport is just like here, it is. It is as it is. They are not taking it away. They are bringing their money to do it. They are bringing their money to do it. And they will charge for over 30 years so that they don't charge so highly. That's what would have happened. Now, a similar arrangement is happening in Kigali. So the Qataris are building a Kigali International Airport in the same terms like Adani wanted to do here. So Kigali is going to be the hub in this region, not Nairobi, because of noise being made by other parties which were also interested in doing what Adani was supposed to do and paying people down under the table to make noise every day in the newspapers. Shame on them. Shame on them. We need to wake up as a country, because if we don't wake up, we're going to continue to sleep. There's many opportunities that are available for us as a country. We as ODM must remain ODM and remain focused, because the country needs
Yeah, I know. Huko nje. Haya. Agora que se vai mexer. Aí. Legal. Que só que não lá dentro do carro. Naomba mkuja hapa juu kidogo. Naomba baba arudi kwa jukwaa. Naomba ukuje hapa juu baba. Hapa juu. Hapa ndio pale mchezo.
Wacha nichukuliwe kama watu hawajakuja.
Naomba tukuje hapa juu.
Odinga umekuja.
Haya.
Yote hiyo. Wacha nifikisha hiyo.
Kuja.
Nimesikia leo mmesema
we invite you to continue praying for the soul of this dear father, grandfather, and mentor for many. Do not leave this place without having left your prayer. And so, within this same context of prayer, allow me kindly to invite our former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, to also make his brief tribute. We invite all of us to observe respect to our late president as we invite our leader to say a few words of tributes. Your Excellency, Honorable Raila Odinga.
Your Excellency, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, President and other leaders from other African countries who have joined us today as we mourn our third president, Deputy President, diplomats who have been here, ladies and gentlemen, wananchi wote, hamjambo. Excellency, I know that many of us will share my plight today. My plight today is just like a member of the clergy, either a father or a padre who is asked to eulogize a bishop, but not to talk about the bishop's religiosity or religion. I've been asked today to talk about our president, but without talking about politics. I don't know how to eulogize a politician without talking politics. The family of Mwai Kibaki, led by Jimmy, we are all with you as the nation of Kenya at this very, very sad moment when we say farewell to a great Kenyan patriot, Emilio Mwai Kibaki. But then, how did Mwai Kibaki come into where he came into? You know, Mwai Kibaki as a youth, Mwai Kibaki as a student, Mwai Kibaki as an intellectual, Mwai Kibaki as a politician. The story was told to us by Jaramogi and Mwai that after KANU was formed in Kirigiti Stadium in 1960, our draft constitution had been presented there, had been prepared by the one Mr. Ojino Okeo, who was Jaramogi's secretary. And he died on his way back to Kisumu through a road accident at the escarpment. Then later on, Obote. I found Obote was campaigning with a very beautiful manifesto. I asked him, who prepared this manifesto for you? Obote said, there are some young men here in Makerere who are very good. Their leader is a Kenyan. Then Jaramogi said, I want to see him. He brought Mwai Kibaki. When he brought Mwai Kibaki, Jaramogi told him, I want you to do the same manifesto like this for KANU. And he prepared with his team that beautiful manifesto. And that's how Jaramogi now invited him to come and become executive officer of KANU. And that started the journey. We know Kibaki as a member of parliament for Donholm. You know Kibaki as a minister for commerce and industry, as a minister for finance, as a vice president, as a leader of the opposition, as a president, as a retired president. And now here we are saying bye-bye to him, a great Kenyan. Mwai Kibaki is a gentleman, a man of conviction, a man who loved perfection. You worked with Kibaki first in the opposition together as our leader. How he used to lead, how he would discuss the budget and come up with an eloquent exposition of the budget, better than the Minister of Finance, and tell him how it should be done. Kibaki will tell you, these people don't know what they're doing. Bure kabisa. And when it's just a lot of nonsense, you say, imavia kuku. But he was a gentleman by excellence. In the cabinet, we worked together. He would allow a lot of debate in the cabinet. And he also gave the ministers a lot of authority and power to run their ministries. So long as you do not get yourself involved in graft. The biggest enemy of corruption, Mwai Kibaki. And nobody is indispensable when it came to issues of corruption. So we have learned a lot from Mwai Kibaki. We came with almost a bankrupt economy and transformed it. At one time when we were living, it was rising at a rate of 7% per annum because of Mwai Kibaki. Because we have had also our differences. When at one time Kibaki got involved in an accident, others opportunities took advantage of that position. We never held it against Kibaki. At the time when we were negotiating post-election violence, the stocks had collapsed at Serena. Kofi Annan invited me and Kibaki for a meeting. We sat in the office of the President Kikwete, President Mkapa, Grace Machel, and Kofi Annan. We talked and talked. In the end, I said, I'm ready to come. And Kibaki then agreed. So when we agreed, we shook hands. After shaking hands, the other people now wanted to come into the room to try to persuade him not to agree. He told them, tumemaliza kila kitu. Sasa hakuna kitu tena, tunakwenda kuongea na dunia sasa. And we came out and shook hands with Mwai Kibaki, and he kept those words. There were differences sometimes in the course of running the government, but all of them were able to resolve them amicably. So in retirement, we will continue to remain friends. Each time he has been an advisor to me in many ways. So I've really lost a friend. The country of Kenya has lost a true patriot, a great leader whose value will only be known with the time as time continues to unfold. Mwai Kibaki, Emilio Mwai Kibaki, rest in peace, rest in eternal peace. I bring finally also to you people condolences of the Kenyans in diaspora around the world who are not able to be with you here today.
Thank you, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, for a wonderful tribute. Allow me now to invite for his brief tribute our Deputy President.
Mr. President, Deputy President, honorable members of Parliament, hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Hey, I think I see almost a full house. Senators and members of the National Assembly. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here this morning to see you. I want to say that I'm charged, but I'm not scared. You know, I've been a member of Parliament for this constituency for 20 years. And I used to meet with members of Parliament. I was our Prime Minister. And every Wednesday was a Prime Minister's question time in Parliament. I used to be harassed a lot by members of Parliament. And that's why I'm not scared. But let me begin to say that none of us thought a day would come when protagonists just a year ago would get together to chart a joint way forward for this country. How did we find ourselves together, and why are we here today? One, in life of a nation, there comes a time when danger knocks on the door. It happened in the US during the Civil War that threatened to dismember the USA as we know it today. There's a region today referred to as former Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia existed as a country between 1918 and 1992. Then it fell apart into several countries, including Croatia, Montenegro, Serbia, Slovenia, Bosnia, and Macedonia. The former president of Yugoslavia, the late General Josip Broz Tito, used to say jokingly that I am the glue that is holding this fragile nation called Yugoslavia together. And if it depart, it may disintegrate in several small nations. And true to his prophecy, that's happened today. There's no Yugoslavia. Closer to home here next door is Somalia. In 1991, we were here when Siad Barre was forced to run out into exile where he died. Look at Somalia today. So there are several examples that exist around the world. As leaders, we are supposed to scan the horizon, spot the danger, and act to subvert that danger. In 2024, the last year, we understood that the dark clouds that were gathering over Kenya could have been exciting, but they could also mark the end of Kenya. We decided that it is better to have an imperfect country that is struggling to mend its ways than to have a collapsed one. We came together to create an environment in which we can discuss our issues and differences as people of one nation. As you know, and as you know here, there are countries that cannot discuss their issues at home. In my life, I've attended many meetings in London, Paris, Istanbul, Washington, name it, where African leaders are ferried to foreign capitals from their own collapsing countries to discuss issues they cannot discuss at home. We go together to spare Kenyan that shame. Our object was and remains one, as one U.S. Senator called it, our country, our whole country, and nothing but our country. Having stabilized the nation, how have we performed in the intervening periods? How do we do better? How do we move forward in a way that respects the people of Kenya and that shows that we are alive to the circumstances that triggered our coming together and that we are acting on them? That is our object today. And that's why we are here today. We met and decided that we needed to have, for the first time, a joint parliamentary group meeting. We could now discuss with our members of parliament. It's over 2 months ago, an opportunity to discuss in this very same place here with the members of the executive. They came here and actually came with the blueprint of the performance, what they had done up to that time, and what they were intended to continue doing going forward. And I was very candid with them in my discussions with them. And I told them where I thought they were not doing right and what I thought they should be doing rightly. So as always, I'm always very candid indeed. Today, I'm meeting the members of the legislature. As you know, we have got 3 very important institutions: the executive, legislature, the judiciary. And I'm hoping that in not very far away from today, I will have opportunity to talk to the judiciary as well. So I'm going to be very candid with you people. To talk to you as a former member of parliament. Yes, the leader, Gimani Chungwa, referred to the constitution and told me the issues like NGF and and Senate oversight in the counties is in the Constitution. I want him to cite to me the section of that Constitution that he's referring to. Because as you know, I was very involved with the Constitution, making Constitution of this country. And at another time, I would want to bring Professor Yashpal Gai, who was the leader of that Constitution making. And we went through very many issues. We had committees in the Bomas of Kenya dealing with various segments of that Constitution. The executive was one. Legislature is another one. Judiciary is another one. Devolution, another committee. And devolution was very contentious because we had very many people who did not want the devolution because of what had happened at independence. As you know, we started with the devolved system government, Majimbo. The foundation of Majimbo was actually contentious because it was ethnic-based. The colonialists and the settlers had actually instilled fear in the people that all the bigger communities, the bigger tribes at that time, the Luos and the Kikuyus, will lord it over the smaller tribes. And thus the smaller tribes need to safeguard themselves by creating regions and powers so that they can be able to be protected. That was the basis of Majimbo. And it was a very lengthy discussion at Lancaster House. So KANU accepted Majimbo in London, but with the understanding that they would change it after the independence. So after independence, KANU actually started to frustrate Majimbo by not remitting funds to the regional governments. I want to refer you to the Hansard in the Bunge. There's a motion that was moved by the then leader of opposition at that time, the late Ronald Ngala, of censorship of the Prime Minister, the Jomo Kenyatta, because he had refused to release funds to the regional governments. You need to read that debate. Ngala moved it, it was seconded by Masini Muliro, who was the deputy leader of the opposition. And then KANU, of course, responded. First Jaramogi, Odinga, and then Tom Mboya responded to that motion. The motion was defeated, but that debate actually is very historical. And I want to refer you to go and read what it said. Eventually, KANU, of course, had to fold up and dissolve, and then eventually Majimbo was also dissolved through a constitutional amendment. And then what happened was what? They created a Ministry of Local Government, which was given a lot of powers. Ministry of Local Government. So the Minister of Local Government became an executive minister, just like a Minister for Finance under that constitution at that time. And now they were county councils down there, they kept 265. But then they could not do anything without authority in writing from the Minister of Local Government. So we had all these documents when we were there at Bomas. But then we said we wanted to give more autonomy to the counties so that service delivery could be better improved. We came up with regions at Bomas of Kenya. But there are people who really opposed devolution. The chairman of devolution in Bomas was called Dr. Odinga. He addressed the audience at Bomas, and by the time he finished talking, everybody said that man should be the chairman of that committee. and became the chairman of the committee. And he conducted the matter so well and so effectively that he became a marked person. What did they do to him? In broad daylight, around 11 o'clock, on Ngong Road there, off Ngong Road, in his residence, they sent assassins. And in the presence of his children, they shot him and killed him. The assassins of Mumbai were arrested. Eventually they were released. So I just want you to know that the revolution has got very many people and very powerful people in this country today. Then after that, because you know that ODM is a product of constitution making. And one of the founding members of ODM is sitting here with you. The other one is the former president, who is a member, and quite a number. We are going to have the 20 years of ODM in October, and all the founding members are going to be invited. To come and attend. Now you see, we said that we give clear, responsibilities. The executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And the legislature is supposed to make laws that the executive uses to run the country. And the judiciary is then there to ensure that in implementation of these laws, the executive is not overreaching or violating the law of the Constitution. But then, so the work of Parliament is representation, legislation, and oversight. Very clear, it's written there in the Constitution. Parliament is not supposed to be implementing. Parliament is supposed to be oversighting. It's not oversighting. And secondly, there is only two levels of devolution. There's, national and one level, county. Constituency is not an element of devolution. Devolution remains at the county. Down there at the constituency, the county government does implementation of the projects. I'm saying, correct. Down at the constituency, it's the county government. By the national government is supposed to do national projects. And we go down there. And there are functions which are clearly been assigned. Functions which have been clearly been assigned to the national government. I will tell you, your legislatures, and a very famous English politician said that I may not agree with what you have to say, but I shall defend until death your right to say it. So listen to me. Let me say it. And then you'll have a chance to come and respond. So I'm telling you, I know that sometimes the truth is very bitter. I was there and we discussed with the Karue when he was moving around to bring the CDF. The CDF was brought because of circumstances that were prevailing at that time. In those days, with a centralized system of government, there were very little resources which are going down to the counties. And that's the reason why the Harambee became the major ways of mobilizing resources. Sometimes you find nearly 100 cards in your desk for Harambees here and there. Whenever the president moved around, you'll go around to counties, to the districts. And then we'll be addressing people. People will come up to tell them their problems. Mtukufu Rais, hapa kwetu barabara ni mbaya sana, haipitiki. Mvua ikinyesha kuna matope, barabara haipitiki. Mtukufu Rais, hapa kwetu shule yetu hapa, juzi mvua ilinyesha na upepo kaja katoa paa, watoto sasa wanasoma chini ya mti hapa. Mtukufu Rais, hapa kwetu hakuna maji. Mtukufu Rais, hatuna stima na kadhalika. When he stand to respond, to say, nyinyi mnasema barabara ni mbaya, mnasema hospitali hakuna dawa, mnasema upepo imechukua paa ya nyumba. Mjumbe wenu anafanya nini? Yeye anapiga tu kelele kule bunge, anapiga tu kelele kwa bunge, hajali mambo ya maendeleo kwake. Kwa hiyo mimi nitatumia mtu kuja kufanya harambee, lakini leo mimi nitatoa pesa ya kujenga hiyo shule, kujenga hiyo nyumba, nitatoa pesa na kadhalika. That was the end of it. So the MP was the one who was being blamed for the failure of the national government to do certain things in their constituency. And that's the reason why we came up with the idea of CDF. That was that time. Exactly, that was that time. But then the constituency is now falls under the devolved government, which is being led by the governors. So constituency is not a devolved unit. And members of parliament themselves should not be involved in development, because they're supposed to be oversighting. They're supposed to be oversighting. If you have yourself being involved in construction of roads, building of schools, building hospitals, who is going to oversight you? Who is oversighting you? So, Mr. President, I hold very clearly that these MPs know that they should not have any business in trying to implement projects in their constituency. Implementation of projects should be left to the county government. Secondly, the oversight, the national parliament oversight the national government, whether it is the National Assembly or the Senate. Oversighting of governors, the responsibility of MCAs, members of the county assembly, not the senators. It's not the responsibility of the Senate to oversight. Senate wasting time of governors to come and answer questions about roads in the counties. And thirdly, the issue of extortion. The issues of extortion. The issues of extortion. Majority Leader, you talked of, you didn't talk of extortion, you talked of lobbying. Lobbying is okay. In the US, you've got lobby firms which have formed to lobby the members of the Congress. They come to lobby, they're known, they're officially registered as lobbyists. They come to lobby the members of parliament. But lobbying is a different thing from extortion. From extortion. That you have a member, every committee has got a member who is how do you call him? Welfare bunge is giving a very, very image of parliament, that members of parliament should not be soliciting funds from because you see, listen to me, you know, the environment that we are creating here in this country is very, very hostile to investments. Foreign investors who come to the country bring their resources in the country to invest it here. And when they bring their resources, when they find there's too much bureaucracy and there's too much extortion, they run away. Private capital is risk shy. And when, for example, somebody has come with his resources to start a project, and then you find somebody beginning to make noise that, oh, this project has not been approved. This project has not been approved. Or this project is being corruptly implemented. They run away. And delaying of the projects. And you find a situation where members of parliament inviting parastatals and so on, and even purporting to be cancelling projects that have been signed. That is the work of the executive, not the work of the legislature. So legislature should not be competing with the executive in terms of implementation of projects. Allow the executive to implement and just correct them when they go wrong. That's the country will develop. Create a healthy environment for implementation of projects in the country. Then this country will develop. I know I'm being too honest with you people. And I know that the facts, the truth sometimes is so painful, but I think it is important to say this to honorable members of parliament. Thank you very much. May I now invite my brother to come and address you people.
Very well. Thank you very much, the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take our seats. Thank you very much. Now, honorable members, let me join the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and all the leaders who have spoken before me to welcome all of you to this very important first ever parliamentary group meeting that brings the two major coalitions together today here in Karen. Karibuni sana. The Right Honorable Raila Odinga has given us the context of why we are meeting here. Sir, I will answer the questions.
Thank you. Asante sana. Your Excellency, the President Ruto, the governors, honorable members of parliament, wananchi wote hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Jituo saureuru. Oyaore. Ulmaver. Thank you. Your Excellency, I was invited here to come and give a keynote address. I prepared some notes that I want to share with this audience here today, this morning. Let's bring it here. Thank you. So, Your Excellency, first I'm so happy to have been invited to come here this morning and also to thank you for taking a very keen interest in the economy of this region. I will first share some of the thoughts that I have put down here, after which I will probably then say some things off the cuff. The core purpose of devolution was to enable each part of this country to explore its potential, deploy in it the service of its people, and help unleash an economy that fires on all cylinders. Devolution was pegged on an understanding that no part of this country is too poor to contribute to the betterment of the Project Kenya, and none too rich to single-handedly make Kenya great. Kenya needs all its parts in order to leap forward. Since we started taking national days to counties and assigning specific themes to those celebrations, it has become clear that every part of Kenya has something to offer. Progressively, you have come to the realization that there is more to Kenya than just crops, livestock, and minerals. It is my hope that as we continue on this journey of rotational Madaraka Day celebrations and themes, Kenyans will come to appreciate each other more and build the understanding and trust that are necessary to build a stable and a prosperous nation. We are here to talk blue economy. Just meters from Lake Victoria, the world's second largest freshwater lake after Lake Superior in North America. As we embrace our oceans and lakes and rivers as potential sources of growth under blue economy, we are coming to the realization that there is more to these water bodies than just fish. Blue economy is a relatively new era of focus in our country. Despite only recent focus on this field, Kenya is putting commendable effort, and I believe that in no time you can make this sector one of the top contributors to our national economy and the well-being of our citizens. The government has rightly identified blue economy as a potential source of inclusive economic growth, job creation for the youth and riparian communities, food and nutrition security, sustainable aquaculture, and conservation and climate resilience, among others. For us to realize and maximize on the full benefits of this sector, there are deliberate steps we must urgently embark on as a nation. I will outline a few. But before I do that, Your Excellency, you need to know that these people were originally not fishermen. Luos were pastoralists. As they came down from the north, they were traveling along rivers and lakes. That's why they are called river-lake Nilotes. But sometimes in their history, about 200 years ago, their cattle, their stocks were decimated by an epidemic 200 years ago. That's when they turned to the lake, to fishing and to sedentary life at that time. But that pastoralism life is still very much in their blood. These people here, they know how to borrow remo. With the agreement that the blue economy is part of the new trend going into the future, we need to roll out a clearly understood and implementable policy of training and deploying an army of ocean scientists, marine biologists, seafarers, petroleum engineers, fishers, and many other maritime professions to help us explore and exploit the full worth of our maritime bodies. I believe we all agree that we have barely studied what lies in our ocean waters and the ocean floor. We have barely studied our lakes to fully appreciate and exploit what lies in and below them for our use. We have only scratched the surface with regard to our capacity for shipping and water logistics. We have hardly explored our capacity to generate and export seafood, among other items that the rest of the world have invested in from maritime economy. We develop and implement a robust and comprehensive mechanism for management and protection of all maritime life, breeding grounds, to enable life in the waters sustain a blue economy. We must also embark on protection of maritime vegetation like mangroves, reeds, and other plants that are known to be critical to the life in the oceans, rivers, swamps, lakes, and all other water bodies, therefore, to green economy. Lake Victoria, just like Lake Turkana, River Tana, and the Indian Ocean, have brought forth life that we seek to exploit. We have a responsibility to ensure that the life continues to flourish in these bodies. We have to protect the existing mangrove and other swamps, forests, and vegetation, and embark on the replanting of hectares of depleted marine lands. Otherwise, we will lose the entire species of marine lives and undermine the blue economy. So far, the only attempt to conserve marine vegetation, which is also dwindling, has to do with the mangroves in Lamu area. Everywhere else is marine exploitation with zero conservation of critical vegetation regeneration. Let us be firm against pollution. We have to be firm on a single-use plastic ban in order to reduce the non-biodegradable waste entering the marine environment and undermining blue economy. There must be a clear understanding by all, including investors, that there can be no blue economy, or any economy for that matter, through pollution. We must all understand that economic development can't be built on environmental degradation. Only healthy waters will generate wealth. For eternity, we have tended to see and treat our water bodies, including the lakes, rivers, and oceans, as obstacles and dividing lines between communities, regions, and nations. This has to change. We must begin to see Lake Victoria, Turkana, Tana River, Indian Ocean as seaways and links to other people, countries, and other markets. In this regard, the effort by the government to revive and modernize the port system and supporting piers and other infrastructure is highly commendable as a journey towards the realization of the economic potential of the Marines. Your Excellency, the fish stocks in the lake here had been actually dwindling. In the 60s, there was a research that was being carried out by the East African Fisheries Research Institute, which is based in Jinja. It was led by the late Professor David Wasau. When they realized that the indigenous fish was dwindling, they decided to import species from other countries. They went to Lake Superior in Canada and bought another species of tilapia, different from the indigenous tilapia known as tilapia nilotica. They bought another one, which is original ngege. They bought another one, which they bought in the lake. It was called nyamami, or giaba. Then they went to Lake Kyoga in Uganda and bought another fish, that is the perch. It's called the Nile perch. The Nile perch was not indigenous to the lake. It was imported from Lake Kyoga. But the Nile perch has a history. It was originally not a freshwater fish. It was in the Mediterranean. Your Excellency, if you bring a saltwater fish into the freshwater fish here, it will not survive. It dies. Like if you take the freshwater fish to the Indian Ocean, it also dies. But this Nile perch moved from the Mediterranean into the Nile Delta, where the water, fresh water coming with the river, mixes with the water from the sea. And that the water in the delta is not very salty. That is how it started to acclimatize itself with fresh water. It started now moving up the river. The fishermen who caught it brought it up the rapids. That's how it managed to come all the way to Lake Kyoga. But from Lake Kyoga it could not come into the Nile because of the Owen Falls. It is that team led by Professor Wasau that brought it from there and planted it into the lake here to increase the need. And at that time, Your Excellency, the research was based in Jinja for the entire East Africa. And fishing in the lake was not restricted. Kenya fishermen could go and fish in Uganda waters and also Tanzania waters. The situation has since changed. And therefore we must go back to the drawing board. Your Excellency, in 1971, there was a coup in Uganda, and a madman called Idi Amin took power. Idi Amin, in his madness, annexed several Kenyan islands and made them part and said this were part of Uganda. In fact, he said that the border between Kenya and Uganda was in Naivasha, and that he was going to redraw the boundary. Although he did not realize his dream, that situation is the cause of our problem right to today. Where is the border between Kenya and Uganda in the lake? When I was the Prime Minister, we appointed a team led by the then Minister for Lands, now the Governor of Siaya, Honorable Orengo, together with the Minister for East African Affairs and the Minister for Foreign Affairs, who is the current Speaker of the National Assembly. And they were tasked to carry out negotiations with the Ugandan counterparts. And those negotiations actually did take place. They went to the regional boundaries, they went to Uganda, they came here to Kenya, they went all the way up to Migingo Island, which was contentious at that time. I heard President Museveni saying that Migingo Island is in Kenya, but the waters around Migingo Island are in Uganda. Now, as they were doing this, Mr. President, it came out that the coordinates that mark the boundary between Kenya and Uganda are based on the river Sio. That where the Sio enters the lake is where you begin to make the coordinates and the angles into the lake. Now, we discovered that River Sio, during one of those floods, had changed its course and left. It used to be one foot, but it moved back into the Kenyan side, several kilometers. So now the Ugandans are saying you need to measure from where River Sio is today. But in those days, River Sio was somewhere else. So if you take the coordinate from where River Sio was entering the lake those days, then those islands are in Kenya. There are 5 islands: Sigulu, Remba, Hama, Wayasi, and I don't know which other one. There are 5. Lolwe. So this is a contentious issue that we need to take up with Uganda. We need to take up this issue with Uganda so that this matter is properly resolved. But secondly, we do not see any reason why our fishermen should be harassed in the waters. We need to come up with an agreement that these waters can be exploited generally. In the Indian Ocean, you've got Koreans, Japanese coming to fish in our waters here, and there's nothing we're doing about it. Why should Kenyan fishermen be harassed when they just cross the border here? And let us then also agree with Uganda so that we know exactly where the border is. Ugandans have brought in Marines in the lake, harassing our fishermen. We should also have Marine in the lake. So that our fishermen are not harassed unnecessarily in the lake. Okay? But having said that, there's also, you mentioned it, the issue of clashes of our fishermen in the lake. They're killing each other because of fish. This is stupid. Should not allow this. Jothuro ke kunegru, jolupo thuro okunego negre nam ni gwach marech. Which would militia in? Jolupo di nam kuja di gore di negre. But then, Your Excellency, I know that Joho said he's bringing a helicopter. We need that. We needed it yesterday. A helicopter that will help also the fishermen who are drowning in the lake, so that they can be rescued in good time. So we need more choppers. We also need more boats around, which can fly around and help our people, because we are losing people unnecessarily in the lake. And we should have security so that they can be rescued before they drown in the lake. So, Your Excellency, as a country, we have to work proactively, build local and global partnerships, and promote responsible management of our water resources. We must spearhead a policy of integrated, sustainable marine management founded on knowledge, science, and experience. I thank you.
Another round of applause for Nancy Odinga. Exits. Let's kindly take our seats.
Your Excellency, sir, permit me now to invite the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga to give his congratulatory remarks to Zima University on this momentous occasion.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable William Samoei Ruto, the Archbishop of I remember the diocese is no longer Bishop Emeritus. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am very delighted to stand before you today to congratulate the leadership of Uzima University for this great achievement. I know that this is not something that has come easy. It has come as a result of a long and dedicated struggle to ensure that all that is required was met. I here also want to congratulate Professor Chacha Nyaigoti Chacha. the chair of the commission, because he has been very, very insistent that everything should not be left to chance, that all the requirements must be met before this occasion can take place. Your Excellency, we were here a few weeks ago when you awarded a charter to Raila University. And on that day I said that higher education in our country has got an exponential growth, because I remember when I joined the University of Nairobi in 1970, it was only a constituent college of University of East Africa. The other campus was in Dar es Salaam, and the main campus was in Makerere, Uganda. From that very humble beginning, the University of Nairobi actually was created and became a fully fledged university, and then gave birth to other universities. Today we have so many universities in our country, both public and private, offering a lot of training in various disciplines in our country. This is how our society grows. That is, that imparting knowledge on our citizens, on our children, is what helps us to be able to confront the challenges of development in our country. Kenya today is at a very, very critical stage in our development. We require knowledge to be able to uplift our country from the status of a third world economy to a first world economy. It can be done. We know countries which have traveled the same route. You go to South Korea. In 1963, when we got independence, the economy of our country and that of South Korea was almost equal in terms of GDP, in terms of per capita income, in terms of levels of literacy, in terms of levels of poverty. Kenya and South Korea were almost equal. But then 60 years later, there's such a huge gap between Kenya and South Korea. You ask yourself, what did the Koreans get right that Kenyans got wrong? If you can solve that equation, then you're on the way to finding a solution to Kenya's problems. I believe very strongly that it is possible for us to do so. And that's why I've never stopped being committed to helping our people to come back to the cause. It is important, it is necessary, it is completely desirable. We as a country need to be a leader in our region. We have huge market around our country, East and Central Africa. If we get our equations right, there's no reason why we cannot leapfrog and be able to catch up with the countries that have gone ahead of us. I am sure that this can be done. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say hongera to Ozima University. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, sir, I now invite the Cabinet Secretary for Education to offer his remarks, after which he will humbly invite Your Excellency to address the nation.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Dr.
So this meeting is taking place at a particularly opportune moment. It is the first since the ODM and UDA signed an MOU that not only preserved the nation, but also set out a broad agenda for the creation of a people-centered, proactive, inclusive, and pragmatic service delivery. The review also comes at a trying time for the country, emerging for those demanding better services and more say in government. The ferment is also driven by those who feel they have to be in power. Both categories are citizens of Kenya. They deserve a hearing. It is my hope that this policy and performance review could lead to a better understanding and ownership of the government by the people. With the lessons from the recent past, I would say that going forward, everything has to be about the people, not the leaders. One of the lessons I hope you have picked is that without the people's understanding and ownership of government policy design and execution, a perception will persist that the government is not delivering. So the persistent concern going forward must be, are we carrying the people along? So I'm happy that you have embraced AI, because it is the way forward in the world today. And Kenya is very strategically situated where we are. We are very fortunate. Kenya can become a hub, a big hub. I was very disappointed when we are not able to move on with the airport contract. That was really very unfortunate. You know, we had awarded the Greenfield Airport contract before we left government with Kibaki in 2012. That contract was cancelled. Then it was given again to the same contractor later. But then again cancelled somewhere because of disagreement in the middle. And then now, when we now brought in the Adani, they brought all these politics, and then the contract was cancelled. If that is not done, Nairobi will just become dormant. Look at Addis Ababa. It's going, and now they're putting up a new big airport. So Addis Ababa is going to be the hub around. Ethiopian Airlines is the dominant airline now on the continent. Kenya Airways can do the same. Kenya Airways can be the carrier on the continent because South Africa went down. But we are not doing it. You need to find a way. Look at Emirates. The people in the Emirates there do not look at that airline for making profits. It's basically a vehicle bringing investors, tourists, shoppers to the Emirates. KQ can be making losses so long as it's bringing people to our country. See, this is the thing. And put up a big airport in Nairobi. If you don't do it, Rwanda is going to do it. Kigali will become the hub around here. You can do it here in Nairobi, and Nairobi becomes the hub and becomes the Dubai of Africa. And if you look at Korea in the 60s, it was just like rural Kenya. If they show you what it looks like, the rural Korea, it was like our rural Kisii today. An urban slum where people are living all over the place. The agricultural land, people living everywhere. Then they decided deliberately that you need to bring people together. People live together. They came up with an idea of housing. But this housing is not just building shelter for people. You are addressing 5 fundamental issues here. You are addressing employment, you are addressing shelter, you are addressing education, you are addressing health and social amenities. So it becomes an integrated development. If you build affordable houses in Kibra and leave it there to people, they will move in. But how are they going to pay the mortgage? You must put up workshops there for them where they're going to work, put a market there where they will sell their wares, okay? And put a school somewhere where the children will go, put a health center somewhere there where if they're sick they'll go, and a social place where they can go for recreation, or they can go for one for the road after work. Then it becomes sustainable. It becomes sustainable. I will speak as one who has journeyed with Kenya and who wishes this country well. I believe strongly that no matter our disagreements, our visions and disappointments, we have to have our country first. We may hold as lofty visions, we may hold as lofty visions as we wish, but without a country to implement the ideas, they will remain mere wishes and deferred dreams. An imperfect nation making efforts to become a more perfect union is preferable to a nation that went under. You may be seated. I want to say the guests of honor today, Asbel and Becky, mabibi na mabwana, wananchi wote ambao wamefika hapa, hamjambo. Chamge tugul. Nimeambiwa wengine Mirembe iko hapa. Mbuyamure. Mbuyamure. Osaoreuru. Asanteni sana. I am very, very happy to be here today. My good friend Franklin Bett called me and told me that his daughter is getting married and that he would like me to come and grace the occasion. I had other commitments, but I committed to him and said I will try my best to come. Another friend of mine is having a similar function today in Eldoret, but I decided to come here. But I've sent another friend of mine, James Orengo, to Eldoret. I came here because of this. Franklin has told you that we worked together even before 2002, when he was working in State House, Nairobi. We started working together at that time. And our friendship grew stronger and stronger as we continue to work together. Because Franklin Bett is a man of integrity. He's a man who keeps his word. Because at the time that we started working at that time, as you know, the KANU was still very strong. But he joined us in 2002 when we had the NAC wave, and we worked together with him. We were also together here with the late Mr. Kones, our friend. And I see Beatrice is here. You see? Yeah. But I've had association with Kericho for a long time. When I was a small boy, I came here with my father. My father, was having a business, and he had a branch here in Kericho town. And he used to come here. And he didn't have a director who was from here. In those days, Kericho was part of Nyanza. And that friend of his is the one who used to teach us Kipsigis. Agenge, Ayem, Somu, Angwan, Mood, Long. Susa, Sogo, Sisi, Taman. Taman Agenge. Those days when I was a small boy. So I'm not new to Kericho here. We have had a long association working together. And I'm very happy. Now today is a very special occasion because we come here for a solemn function. That is that we are releasing Becky to go to the other side. This is very similar to function in Luo. They used to have this kind of functions where a girl, after they had paid sufficient dowry, then now there will be a ceremony to release the girl. Then the girl would be escorted by the maids to the place where the wedding was going to take place. There now, the other people would just go there as guests. And the girls will be going there singing as they escort the maid to the wedding. So this is a very similar occasion here, which I'm seeing here. I'm very happy that this is happening. But now, all the times when this is happening, there are a lot of lectures that will be given. I want to advise you not to listen to all those lectures, because there are a lot of advices that are being given. First, you, Asbel, I welcome you to the prison. You're entering a prison. Pingo la maisha. Unafunga pingo la maisha. You will be here, and here there's no leader in marriage. You are partners, and you are equal partners. There's nobody who is a leader and nobody who is being led. You are equal partners. The reason why some of the marriages come and get into difficulties is because somebody tells you that you are a leader, you're leading your wife. But a wife is an equal person, grown-up person like you, mentally gifted just like you. Why do you want to be the one who leading her? You are living together as partners and equal partners in the home. That's when you have peace. But if you go there, mimi ndio bwana hapa, mimi ndio boss hapa, kila siku mtakuwa na shida hapa na pale. So we had a state where the institution of marriage in some countries is under serious challenge today. Places, the institution of marriage is almost dying. Because you go to some places today, you will be invited to a wedding, and there will be a man and a man wedding. A woman and a woman wedding. This is a very, very controversial issue today. There's some places where you dare not mention it. But this is happening. I'm happy that here in our country, we still have this kind of traditional marriages taking place. And we must cherish this. We must be proud of what we're having in our country today. So today, you will be after the formal wedding, you will be joining together as partners. So Becky, you will be there as a partner. And Asbel, you will be there as a partner. Then you will be able to raise a family together. I want to tell you that 2 years ago, me and my wife, Ida, who has sent her greetings today, we celebrated our golden anniversary. That is 50 years together. And I said on that occasion that if I had an opportunity again, I would still say yes. There are very few people who can do that. Some would say that if I knew, I would not have gotten myself in this kind of trouble. But there will be a lot of challenges, and those challenges, you'll be able to manage them if you respect each other and you work together. That would be my advice today to you people. So I'm again happy today again. This has given me an opportunity to be back again here in Kericho. I see a number of members of my party here. I can see them. Do you want to stand up? Simama. Ili onekane. Asanteni sana. I'm a friend of Kericho. All the times when we are moving around, I come to Kericho. These days I have not come because sometimes I now fly to Kisumu. The past I used to come to stop at the tea hotel, have tea, and meet friends. But I'll be coming again now to come and see you people. Kenya is a big and a good country. Kenya has great potential. And I say Kenya is greater than all of us. And that's why when Kenya is in trouble, it is our responsibility as Kenyans to solve those problems. Because if we leave Kenya to burn, we will not have another country. That's why, irrespective of political differences here and there, when it gets to a stage where Kenya is about to burn, we will say no. We must come together as one people. One people. And that's why we sat and talked and I said we will work together for the unity of our people so that Kenya can move forward properly. You know, there's a serious challenge. We had ourselves gone out to the streets making some demands. But then we had sat down and we had discussed and negotiated and agreed on the way forward. Then, because there was no implementation, came the other problem again later on. So these problems must be resolved. This is what we have agreed on. When we signed the MOU, we agreed that these problems need to be resolved. And we're working towards resolving those problems. Finally, you heard me recently talking about devolution. Devolution, we brought in the Constitution with a lot of opposition at that time. But we said that our country needs devolution so that we can bring power closer to the people and also ensure that there's equitable distribution of resources in the country. Devolution works very well in many countries. If you go to Japan, you'll see what I mean by devolution. If you go to Germany, where I lived for many years, you will appreciate the power of devolution. If you dissolve properly and also put resources down there, there will be much faster development. What is happening here is that some of our people resist devolution because they don't understand the effect of devolution. Right now, we still have a problem. We have devolved generally. We have a structure of devolution, but we're not bringing resources properly down so that these devolved units can work efficiently. You see, now they're saying, and the other time this week, they're saying that nearly 50% of money going to the counties is going to salaries, and that only less than 30% is going to development. But that is not the mistake of the devolved units. That's because less resources is coming down to the counties. If, for example, you release funds for infrastructure, funds going to Kura and Kera down here, if you release other funds meant for health, because health is a devolved function, but the bulk of the money is remaining up there in Nairobi. It's not coming down here. You see, if you release resources for agriculture, if, for example, you release money to build markets, because they are building markets there, yes, the counties are the ones who are operating those markets. Why don't you give the money to the counties? If, for example, affordable housing should be the responsibility of the counties, release the money to the counties. Then you will not be talking about 15%. You will be releasing over 35% of funds to the counties, and there will be development. You don't want to blame governors because you're not giving them resources. If you give the resources properly, the entire country will be working. Right now, the counties are employing people, experts, but there's no work for those people. They're sitting in the offices because there are no funds for them to work. So release the resources to the counties, and devolution will work for our country. This is what I'm saying all the time. And members of parliament have no business contracting roads. Members of parliament have three functions: representation, legislation, and oversight. Period. Leave the issue of constructing roads to counties. So counties can have some responsibilities. This is what I wanted to say. I want to thank you very much. Asanteni sana. Sasa niko na kitu yangu kidogo ya kusindikiza Asbel.
While Becky is coming, let me also ask Asbel for a photo session with Baba. Wabe mama? Wabe mama? Mama, iko picha hapa kwa msichana yako. Kuja haraka. Ngoja kidogo tu ya.
Yes. Move a little bit this side. So that Mama can come there. Very good. Thank you. That is a very memorable photo from Baba. Pigia makofi kabisa mazuri. We really appreciate Enigma. His Excellency amepatia zawadi, iko kadi mzuri, very special card. Hiyo kadi imetoka kule ng'ambo, haijatolewa hapa, imeprintiwa special from ng'ambo. Very good. As I shaking hands with Asbel, very good advices from Baba. And then we will also have the final photo here, the two of you, Baba na Asbel, and then finally we will have Asbel and Becky, the two of them. Erokamano. Riuruakateko. And then with the leaders there. Yes, with the leaders. Owili, DG. Now you can join. Let them join. Is it so long? Okay. Where's Charles? Sir Charles, you need to be there. All smiles. This is a celebration. So pick a smile, Mzuri. Thank you very much. Thank you. Finally, the two of them, Baba. The two of them only. Only. We'll have Asbel here, and the other side we'll have Becky. Only the two of them. Yes. Very good. Hiyo ni watoto yako baba. Makofi kabisa. Congratulations. Thank you very much. And then finally now your son. This your son. Nyinyi mnaweza ondoka kidogo. Your son is here. Piga mimi na baba. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Nimeomba loan free sahi kwa bank.
Okay. Can I want to request Baba to hold kidogo. I want to request Baba to hold, and there's a gift from Mr. and Mrs. Bet and Siloam Hospital and Kisiet. This is from Kisiet and Siloam Hospital. Siloam is our hospital as a family. Kisiet is our tea factory in Bomet. So that is a gift from the two institutions to you. I think you can go and sit, kidogo. You can go and sit before you leave.
Erokamano, jaza kabisa DJ. Wapi makofi ya baba na timu yake kabisa.
Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga akuje atoe rambirambi zake. Karibu baba na asante kwa kuja kutuzikia.
Haya. Your Excellency President William Ruto, maaskofu na viongozi wa kanisa ambaye wanatusaidia kusindikiza mzee, wananchi nyote kwa jumla, hamjambo? Asimilani. Asanteni sana. Tumekuja kwa majonzi kusindikiza mzee wetu. To Mrs. Mungaru in Dodge, hoi beileid, or we verloors deine Schwiegervater. Mzee huyu alikuwa rafiki yangu. Ndio mimi namjua. Boma hii hapa mimi si mgeni. Tumekaa hapa na Mungaru na huyo mzee. Na vile mnaona huyo mzee ni mzee ambaye alikuwa na maono. Tena alikuwa ni mzee ambaye alikuwa anapenda watu. Ameishi miaka 89. Waswahili wanasema amekula chumvi. Kwa hivyo tunasherehekea maisha yake. Tunasherehekea maisha yake, maana yake maisha yake ilikuwa ni maisha ya sawa sawa, maisha ya ushujaa, maisha ya upendo. Vile mmeona. Amekuwa na shida akiwa mtoto, lakini amemudu yale shida zote na baadaye akalea familia. Mabibi 5 na watoto 32. Hiyo ni kwa jumla kama average watoto 6 kwa kila bibi. Sio ni rekodi kubwa sana. Hiyo ni anafanana na nini mjomba wangu. Mjomba wangu ambaye alikuwa amezaliwa na mama yangu, walizaliwa watoto 3. Yeye na wasichana 2. Baadaye yeye akasema yeye atajaza yale ambaye baba yake hakufanya. Kwa hivyo akaoa mabibi watatu. Wa kwanza akapata watoto 12, wasichana 6 na vijana 6. Wa pili akapata watoto 10, vijana 5 na wasichana 5. Wa tatu akapata watoto 8, vijana 4 na wasichana 4. Hiyo Mungu alipanga namna hiyo. Kwa hivyo akawa na watoto 30, wasichana 15 na wanaume 15. Huyo mzee amemshinda yeye na watoto 2. Huyo mzee amefanya rekodi. Amefanya kazi kweli kweli. Kujenga Kenya. Amejenga Kenya. Sasa kitu kingine ambaye amefanya ni yeye alikuwa ameona mbele. Manake vile Meja alisema hapa, wanaishi pamoja. Hawaishi kando kando, watu mwingine amejenga boma pale, amejenga boma pale, wanaishi pamoja. Hii ni kitu muhimu sana kama kwa sisi kama Wakenya tukaendelea mbele. Maana yake vile tunavyojua zamani zile wakati ardhi ilikuwa kubwa, watu walikuwa wanajenga maboma. Kama mzee alikuwa na mabibi kama 5, mzee watoto kama karibu 10-20. Sasa ile wanaume wakishakuwa wakubwa namna hii, wakishaoa, kila mmoja anakwenda anapewa ardhi ajenge boma yake. Kila mmoja anakwenda ajenge boma yake papa na pale. Sasa hiyo imepitwa na wakati. Maana yake wakati hii unaona ardhi inaanza kuwa kidogo. Kama mzee alikuwa kwa mfano na ekari 20, akawa na vijana 4, akagawia kila moja 5. Alafu huyo ambaye amepewa hiyo 5 akizaa tena watoto 4 au 5, atakuwa anagawa moja. Alafu sasa huyo ambaye vile vile sasa ni mjukuu akianza kugawa hiyo moja yake, itakuwa ni robo eka. Kwa tutakuwa na kitu inaitwa rural slum. Na kutakuwa hakuna mahali ambayo watu wanaweza kulima na kuzalisha chakula. Kwa sababu tunataka watu wanaishi pamoja. Watu wakiishi pamoja inaweza kufanya mpangilio mzuri zaidi. Maji inaweza kuletwa na serikali, inaweza kuleta stima, kuleta hata mambo ya kuchukua takataka na vio na choo, sewage. Na hapo sasa wakikaa pamoja, shule inajengwa hapo, vile kituo cha matibabu inakuwa hapo. Alafu vile vile kunakuwa na pale ambayo watu wanaweza kwenda kufanya kazi, na soko vile vile inaitwa integrated community. Haya ni mpango tunataka tuone ikiendelea mbele huko. Na hii tunataka ndio sababu mimi nimewaambia watu wa serikali wanafanya mambo ya affordable housing. Hii affordable housing si tu mambo ya malazi, nyumba tu ya kukaa, lakini vile vile iwe na mpango zingine pale watu wanaweza kufanya kazi, kuwe na soko, kuwe na shule, kuwe na hospitali ya kutibu watu, na mahali vile vile ambayo watu wanaweza kwenda kujiburudisha, kucheza watoto, na wazee vile vile wanaenda pale wanatumia, wanapata kilalo. Mimi najua sana. Hata mgema Kiswahili amechoka na kwenda anapata kilalo. Anasema ati mgema akisifiwa sana pombe fanya nini? Ya watu wanajua, wanaishi hao wanajua ile maneno nasema. Kwa hivyo yale ni mpango ambaye tunataka tuone vile inafanyika katika hii taifa letu tukiendelea huko mbele. Sasa mimi nimekuja hapa sitaki kusema mambo mengi zaidi. Manake nimeona wale wengine wamesema mambo ya siasa mingi. Leo sitaki kusema siasa, lakini mambo mawili nataka niseme. Manake tuko hapa sasa, najua Wakenya wengine wako barabarani hapa na pale, na hiyo ni haki ya kila mtu, haki ya kusema kama mambo hayaendi vizuri, unaweza kujitokeza na ukafanya maandamano. Maandamano imehalalishwa na katiba yetu, lakini maandamano nataka ifanyike kwa njia ya amani. Sisi tulikuwa tunafanya maandamano miaka miwili iliyopita, na tulikuwa tunasema tunataka kufanya maandamano ya amani, lakini baada ya kwamba tulipokuwa tukatoka namna hii, tear gas inapigwa kwetu. Sasa sikianza na hii, vijana vile wanaanza kurusha mawe. Tunataka tuache mambo kama haya. Mnaona nchi zingine kama kule Marekani, kule Ulaya, kule Ufaransa, maandamano fanyika kila mara. Juzi Israel ilipopiga Iran, kulikuwa na maandamano London, New York, Paris, hata Tokyo. Lakini wanakwenda wanamwambia polisi tutafanya maandamano, wanakubaliana na polisi, maandamano itatoka hapa mpaka pale, kutoka saa hii hadi saa hii. Ikikwisha pale wanatoa matamshi yao pale, alafu wanatoka. Hiyo ndio maandamano ambayo inakuwa ya amani. Tunataka tuweke sheria ili maandamano isilete shida. Kama mjuzi uliona mwaka jana, yule jamaa anaitwa Malema huko South Africa alisema ataleta nchi kwa standstill, na akakubaliwa, akakuwa na watu wengi walitoka pale moja wakatembea mpaka pale mwingine, wakamaliza, wakasema mambo yake yote, wakafoka mambo yakakwisha ndio hiyo. Lakini sababu hapa sisi tunaleta fujo, watu wanapigwa, watu wanauawa, hiyo ni sababu maandamano inakuwa na shida katika taifa letu. Hii ni maneno mimi nimeshaambia hata serikali hapa. Tunataka yale maneno yakwishe. Sasa hiko maneno ambayo niliongea juu yake juzi, ati wakati tulikuwa tunafanya maandamano watu walikuwa wamepata majeraha, kuna wengine ambao walikufa. Hiyo ni 2023. Hata mwaka jana wengine walikufa. Ili tumalize hii maneno yote kama Wakenya, tuanze safu mpya. Nilisema wale ambao walikufa, wazazi wao wapate nini? Fidia. Na hata wale ambao mwaka jana wa Gen Z iwe namna hiyo, na wale ambao wako sasa katika hospitali vile vile wapewe pesa ya kufanya matibabu. Hii maneno ikishe, tuanze safu mpya, tukaendelea mbele. Hii itaweza Kenya itakuwa kuja pamoja, na tutatembea kama taifa moja. Mambo ya 2027 inakuja, lakini tuko 2025. Hatuwezi kufanya campaign kwa miaka mitano kila mara kwa mara. Tukifanya namna hiyo, nchi haiwezi kuendelea mbele. Mpaka tuwe wakati ambaye kuna amani. Kama uchaguzi imekwisha, tunarudi. Tunangoja mpaka tena uchaguzi mwingine ikuje, alafu jitokeze, fanya campaign vile inafanyika katika nchi zingine. Na kule Marekani watu wanangoja mpaka mwisho wa mwaka wa 3 ndio anaanza kutangaza mimi nitasimama. Hii mambo ya kusema ati mimi tunataka kutoa hii, ikifika wakati ile simama na wewe wenyewe utafute watu upige wewe kura. Kusema wewe utatoka, wananchi watatoa mtu nje, sio wewe. Kusema ati wewe ni kuna shareholders, hapa ni shareholders, wale wengine wako na shares mingi zaidi, wengine wako na shares kidogo, wengine hawana shares. Hiyo ni taifa gani? Na kama wewe una shares, mbona unatoa ushuru? Unatoza ushuru sababu gani kama wewe huna shares? Hiyo tutasema hii ni mambo ya ujinga ambayo haina maana hata kidogo. Kwa hivyo sisi tunasema tunataka Kenya moja. aka tuko tofauti ya kisiasa, ya kisera, hiyo ni sawa. Tuwe na tofauti ya kisera, lakini ikifika mambo ya kujenga taifa la Kenya, tuwe kama kitu kimoja. Kenya is one. Asanteni sana, Mungu wabariki. Nasema Mungu aweke mzee wetu pale pema peponi. Wacha niulize ndugu yangu William Samuel Ruto aje naye angoe na nyinyi. Karibu sana. Thank you. Asante. Thank you very much. You may be seated. The Prime Cabinet Secretary, Mwana wa Ana, my friend, the Chairman of the Council of Governors, our host today, the Governor of the great country of Homa Bay, all governors who are here, all honorable members of Parliament, distinguished guests, now wana Homa Bay, hamjambo. Hamjambo. Osaureu. Asante sana. I usually call my brother there Mwana wa Ana. And he has done a good job of introducing me here to this audience. I came earlier. I did not know that I was scheduled to talk at 5 o'clock. But I said, now that I'm here, because I'm here, I need to be given a chance to greet the people. So we are very happy that the county of Homa Bay is hosting this conference this year. Now we've been here just a few months ago when we had a very electrifying Madaraka Day 2 months ago. And it looks like the evolution 2025 is not any different. I was very happy and pleased when I arrived here, and I was taken to a park, just a small park in the Homa Bay, where this county is trying to remember a very great son of this county, the late Honorable Odinga. I was very, very pleased indeed, because Odinga is actually was the architect of the devolution. I myself was very passionate about devolution, but Mbai had understood it much better than anybody else. So when we went to Bomas of Kenya, because I had hired him as my consultant. So when we went to Bomas of Kenya, and the debate started in earnest, and then I asked the chairman to give Mbai a chance to address the audience. When he spoke that day in Bomas of Kenya, and he spoke for nearly 10 minutes without break. And by the time he finished, the whole hall backed into cheers, and they all cheered by and said that that gentleman should be the chairman of the devolution committee. And that is how it became, that Odinga Mbai became the chair of the devolution committee. And as the chair of the devolution committee, he navigated very dangerous corners Because as you know, I've been mentioning several times that devolution had then and even today very powerful enemies. He was able to create proper benchmarks to be met. And because of that, he became a marksperson. And as I've said several times, would not see the new constitution. In broad daylight, in front of his children, they moved in to his house and shot him and fatally wounded him. So it is fitting that today we are here actually celebrating this day in Homa Bay, not very far away from Bai's home, right just next door here. And today I really want to make an appeal to the Council of Governors, because Bai left a young family, young wife and children. And if the Council of Governors can see it fit that you get a kind of a fund, a small fund, you can just even put in 5,000 shillings a month, that will go a long way to help the family of the little Mumbai. It's an appeal. But then, let's get back to business. And let me begin by declaring a familiar interest. I believe in devolution. I believe in more, not less devolution. I believe in a balance of power between Nairobi and the counties. None should stand in the way of the other. I believe in strong county executives oversighted by equally strong county assemblies. I believe in a Kenya that sees the strength of each of the 47 counties as the strength of Kenya. But let me say, county government are supposed to be oversighted by county assemblies, not the Senate. So therefore, it is unnecessary for Senate to be summoning governors to go to appear before senators in Nairobi. Only the public accounts and the public investment committees should summon not even governors, the chief executives of the county government. It's a waste of time, all the time summoning governors to come to appear before parliamentary committees. Centralism still has strong supporters, but I believe its days are in the past. Centralism comes with some bad habits. It thrives on keeping the whole country waiting for Nairobi to make decisions on very local issues that Nairobi knows little or nothing about. Devolution beats centralism at allowing local people to make decisions on local issues. Decisions affecting only Homa Bay should be taken in Homa Bay or any other country for that matter. Only decisions affecting the whole country should be taken by the national executive in Nairobi. I believe local policymakers bring more insight to local issues, are more likely to be more accountable, transparent, traceable, and named and shamed. But people are now looking for more than proximity. They are looking for performance, productivity, and partnership at every level of leadership. People want counties that are economic powerhouses, not mere administrative units. And you know, we're here because of historical circumstances. You had bigger units, you had regions which had what you call economics of scale. But enemies of devolution undermined that arrangement. Our focus must now be on leveraging devolution to achieve increased productivity and delivery of efficient and quality of services. Devolution for the people, for prosperity. People need more integration and coordination, not just between the county and national government, but also between counties. We want to see Wajir, for instance, having more collaboration with Garissa or Machakos with Kajiado, and complement each other instead of competing for destruction. So I want to share some reflections on how devolution can be revolutionized and how county and national governments can adopt and lead the country into an equitable future. A future in which we all accept that each part of the country is unique in its own way, has its own history, challenges, strengths, and ambitions. Only when all parts of Kenya pull together in one desired direction will we achieve prosperity for all. The counties are not equal or similar. Even this region, for example, you take Homa Bay, next door is Kisii, you see, and then the other door is also Migori. The three counties are not equal or similar. In Homa Bay here, they are like monoethnic. They can afford to talk the Luo Apa. Even the Suba speak the Luo. In Kisii, in Kisii they're also monoethnic. When you go to Migori, they are bilingual. There are Koreans there, and there are the Luos there. So you cannot speak Luo in an assembly in Migori. See, in Kisumu next door, different from Homa Bay, though they share the lake. Kisumu has an international airport. Kisumu has a railway line. Homa Bay does not have a railway line, does not have an international airport, and so on and so forth. So counties differ. So, where are we at this stage? Devolution is a process, not an event. It is about finding a balance between national and local aspirations. In this regard, we have made some significant progress. The most important step we have made is to make it the core principle behind devolution widely accepted. The principle of doing locally what is best done locally, and nationally only what is best done at the national level. But devolution must undergo continuous review and reinvention. The world is changing fast. So is Kenya. In 25 years from today, just from today, we will be in a Kenya of over 80 million people. Look at 25 years from today, it's just a turn of the century. And today is 25 years from then. From 25 years from now, we are going to have 80 million people living in this country. The eyes of our people will be on their counties. Our counties will either be engines of innovation or bottlenecks of frustration. The choice is ours, and we must choose boldly. We need to watch against the transfer of power and resources from Nairobi only for the same to be hoarded at county headquarters. We have to continuously ensure local communities access the devolved power and resources and have the power to decide where funding goes and how the services and projects are run. The formulation of county integrated development plans must therefore be more serious and truly consultative, not mere procedures. Those CIPDs, DPs, must also be implemented to the letter with much more regular references to the people. Needless to say, we have to cut the controlling hand of the national government. We must continuously push the national government to stop micromanaging counties. We must constantly fight off the national government's instinct to hold power and resources. But let me be clear, references to national government's bad tendencies is not a call for a war between the two levels of government. In all devolved systems, getting money and power from either level is always a struggle. You have to treat the contest as an integral part of the strengthening of devolution and the reason for the two governments to build good faith. In fact, as that task continues, I want to propose that there be some incentives arrangements between the national government and the counties, through which the national government will reward those counties that deliver the best services in areas like poverty reduction, youth unemployment, and environmental conservation. We need to come up with more transparent and independent performance reporting at the counties that gives the public more access to data that it can use to evaluate the performance of their county against others. That data will enable citizens to know, for instance, where it is easier to start a business, access healthcare, do farming, move goods to markets, etc., enabling our citizens to make informed choices in their socio-economic activities. We need a digital devolution in counties. County services, from business permits to healthcare appointments, must be accessible online, in real time, and in local languages. This should go a long way in fighting the scourge of corruption that is taking very deep roots in counties. Our counties must move from being consumers of transfers to producers of wealth through county-led industrial parks, energy autonomy through solar, wind, and small-scale hydro projects, and smart agriculture hubs, among other areas powered by technology. Our Constitution clearly stipulates that the two levels of government depend on each other, that cooperation should help us to do away with, not enhance, duplication that results in wastage of time, efforts, and money. Even as county and national governments cooperate, there must be more clarity on roles and responsibilities. Some confusion is beginning to creep in, and accountability risks being lost in the process. We must continue demanding that counties be granted full control over all devolved functions. But we must also demand to see what difference the counties are making in increased devolved resources and functions. At the same time, we need to bring more areas into the devolution fold. Our constitution making was characterized by negotiations and give and take. To avoid a war, for example, with NAT, we only devolve early child development aspect of education. Because NAT had threatened us that if we devolve education, they are going to mobilize teachers to oppose the new constitution. And that's why education was not fully devolved. We must now break the cycle of managing our schools from far away in Nairobi. The time has come for Kenya to devolve education up to secondary school. It makes no sense to see a Minister of Education going to Marsabit, to Garissa, inspecting primary school structures or construction. It's a shame, because that is the work that should be done by the governor of the counties there. The time has come to devolve education. In the interest of efficiency and better service delivery, all money is currently managed by the NGCDF and NGAAF should be surrendered to counties. When CDF was formulated and promulgated, the people of Kenya were seeking an equitable distribution of natural resources which had been denied through an imperial presidency. Most of the work here was basically left to Harambes. He wanted to build a tuition build block, Harambee, dispensary, Harambee, and so on. Since that time, everything in the system of governance has changed. We removed the patronage system in allocation of natural resources. We adopted devolution. We established a constitutional commission to allocate revenue between the national and county governments. We empowered the parliament on budgetary matters. Everything Kenyans have done to re-establish good governance has made the CDF system obsolete. It is serving no known role in the new constitutional architecture, and it is no longer relevant in the new constitutional dispensation. Indeed, the only thing this system does is to pervert the role of the representative of the people and to deflect their attention from duties placed upon them by the Constitution. The legislatures are elected to represent the people, to legislate, and to oversight the national government. It is not their business to be distributing bursaries or be constructing classrooms and so on. Those are the work of the county government. The MPs are constructing roads, constructing schools and hospitals. The same goes for infrastructure development. There is no reason for Nairobi-based agencies to continue flying over counties and construct roads in our urban centers and within our counties. I strongly believe that time has come for the authority over urban and rural roads to be handed over to counties, while the national government manages international highways and national trunk roads. I was the Minister for Roads, Public Works and Housing. I'm the one who took the bill to Parliament to create Kera, Kura, and Kenha. But that was under a unitary system of government at that time. With a devolved system of government, there's no need for somebody sitting in Nairobi to be in charge of rural roads in Homa Bay or Kiambu or Lambu, for example. So this is an idea whose time has come. It does not make sense that some roads in Kisumu town cannot be managed by the governor of Kisumu There's somebody sitting in Nairobi called Kura who claimed those roads as his roads. The same thing in Mombasa, Eldoret, Nakuru, and so on. I know the better way to power this economy there's no better way to power this economy than to have major road construction works going on across all the 47 counties at the same time. I am well aware that some of these functions are currently not devolved and may require constitutional amendments to be transferred to counties. But through delegation of functions and legislation, we can get this work done and in the process take more power and resources and prosperity to the people. Finally, I want to address two other issues. One, the governors have mentioned it, that governors serve the counties and they can serve 1 term, 2 terms. I've got a number of governors who have served 2 terms. In Parliament, we did an amendment so that any member of Parliament who serves 2 terms is automatically entitled to a pension. Why can we not do the same thing to the governors? A governor who has served 2 terms needs to be entitled automatically to a pension. So this is a recommendation that should come from Homabay. And members of Parliament should seize this matter and go and move an amendment in Parliament. Okay? Second thing is issue of corruption. See, corruption is not confined to the counties, and I'm happy that the President talked about this. I talked about it the other day. Our society will not develop until we manage this animal, this beast called corruption. And it is in all aspects of our lives. First, you talk about the executive. It is rampant in the executive. Not at county only, first at the national level. In the procurement and in revenue collection, that's where it resides. Revenue collection, these revenue officers, whether it be the customs officers, they be income tax, they be VAT officers, there's a lot of pilferage in that right. There's a lot of leakages. And then procurement officers. Again, here there's an area where there's a lot of pilferage. You're procuring so expensively. You'll be told now you're building affordable housing. But at what cost? At what cost are you building the affordable housing? Yeah? And all that eventually is burden pushed to the taxpayer. So this is an area where we need to face these enemies of our society squarely. In procurement and in revenue collection. The other area here is, and this is both at the national and at the county level. Then go over to the legislature. Again, this domiciled in the legislature. A lot of money was being wasted by people who should be working productively, being summoned to appear before parliamentary committees. And we find parliamentary committees sometimes saying we are cancelling this project. They're only doing that because they've been funded by a contractor who lost the contract. When there's a tender, there must be a winner. And once that the tender has been awarded, the contractors who lost will look for the member of parliament or an MCA. Oh, the contract has been corruptly awarded. Then immediately they now summon the minister or the PS to come, and you want to investigate this. They shout a lot, make a lot of noise, but basically they are being paid by the losing contractor. And they've been doing this, the contract has been properly awarded, is suspended, is cancelled, and you know the financial year is very short. By the time you awarded the contract, it is September. If somebody goes and suspends it, you will be into the new year. The whole financial year is wasted, money is not spent. So Parliament must also be brought on board properly, because Parliament is also actually impeding implementation of government projects by being corrupted by contractors. And then, come over to judiciary. Judiciary is also not blameless. When some people tell you that rather than wasting my money in hiring a lawyer, I'd rather bribe a judge, and I will get whatever I want. A criminal, somebody that committed a crime, when he's supposed to be arrested, rushes to court, and when he goes to court there, gets an order to stop him from being arrested. So the judiciary is a major impediment also. So corruption resides also in the judiciary. And you come down to the private sector. The private sector is also not blameless. The private sector is where there's competition for contracts, and the ones who now go and bribe the executive, they also bribe the legislature and so on. So there's always a giver and a taker in a corrupt deal. So the private sector is also not blameless. The media is also not blameless here. The media is very much deeply involved. If you see the media saying, oh, we are exposing corruption here, they have been paid. That we have done a professional investigation exposing corruption in the legislature or in judiciary, in the executive. They themselves have been paid to do what they're doing. So the media is not blameless in this one here. So we need to deal with this issue squarely by looking at this animal called corruption, the face, and dealing with it. That's the only way that our country will be able to move forward. I thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much. Right Honorable Prime Minister, we kindly request you to remain up on stage. We have a gift for you from the Council of Governors, which will be presented by the Chair of the Council of Governors and the Vice Chair, who is also the Chair of the committee that organized this year's devolution conference. There will be a second one from the County of Homa Bay. This is from the Council of Governors, being presented by the Chair and the Vice Chair of the Council of Governors. Tupige makofi tafadhali. Thank you. The second gift, Right Honorable Prime Minister, the second gift is from the host county of Homa